If you found yourself kind of stuck in sales, if you found yourself kind of stuck in life, chances are, man, you haven't lost your touch. You've lost your agility. And so you're no longer flexible at all in what you're doing. I was talking to a new salesperson, and he's short amount of time in the business, but he's frustrated already. And those of you who have been in sales, it doesn't take any time, man, to get frustrated in sales. And here he finds himself very frustrated because he's not doing as well as he did when he first got to the business. And so he's pouring his heart out to me, dude. He's telling me of different scenarios and his line of thinking. And dude, I'm nodding in affirmation. I'm almost laughing, not at him, dude, but I'm all giddy inside because we've all found ourselves in that situation where we get into this rut, man. And it's like no matter how hard we try, things just continue to get worse and worse and worse for us. So once he's finished talking, I told him, I said, dude, you haven't lost your touch. You've lost your flexibility. See, you're no longer agile in the business anymore. And see, when you first got into sales, it's as if you just parachuted into like a 300-acre plot of land, and as far as you could possibly see, there was nothing but opportunity. Whatever you can see, man, is yours. It's as if that's what it is. And so there's no boundaries, there's no limits, there's no preformed conclusions because you've never done this before. And so this is just, it's all new. It's bright and shiny, and you believe everything, and you're very optimistic. And then about 30 days into it, man, your focus becomes more and more narrow. And so about 15 to 20 days, it becomes a little narrow. And then after about 30 days, man, you think you have it all figured out. And this is what I call 30-day wonders. This is where in sales, after about 30 days, and this is why you start to regress back and you're not doing as good, because you become more of a fortune teller. You think you know how every scenario is going to play out. You become less coachable. You're buying off more on what the customer is saying instead of giving customers other options. And dude, you're in your own head. This is where you go deeper into your own head, where you no matter how hard you try, it just seems like the situation gets worse, right? So we've all been there, man. I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing at me because I've been there a time or 10,000 before. So I told him, dude, I said, dude, you haven't lost your touch at all, man. You still got the golden ace, man. You got the golden arm. You got the golden clothes. You can continue using your lucky pen. You can even change into and get out of that lucky underwear that's starting to dry rot, man. You don't need any of those things, man. What has happened for you is you've become rigid. And if you found yourself kind of stuck in sales, if you found yourself kind of stuck in life, chances are, man, you haven't lost your touch. You've lost your agility. And so you're no longer flexible at all in what you're doing. And I came across this book, Think Agile by Taffy Williams. And I think it's like chapter 8, there's a section in there that is a checklist for you to check against being rigid. And Williams calls it rigidity recidivism. And rigidity recidivism is habitual relapse. Recidivism, and you hear that word really common with prison reform. That's why prison reform is really kind of a big push, because you have a high amount of recidivism, meaning that a lot of these men and women who come out of prison, if they haven't changed their ways of thinking, if they haven't learned new skills, new techniques, then when they get out into the real world, they tend to go back to what they once did, which is why they end up back in prison. So a lot of times, man, we become the prisoners of our own mind. We become the prisoners of our own success. And the reason being is because what Williams calls rigidity recidivism. I love that word, man. So if you found yourself kind of locked in life, man, chances are you've lost your agility and you're rigid. So I want to use, I think it's like 7 of them. I want to use as a foundation out of that chapter and just kind of riff off of that. the seven checkpoints. This is a good checklist for you to actually look at to see, to check back against, where you can see if I'm kind of stalemated, if I'm locked up in life, if things aren't coming the way they once did, if I'm not where I need to be. Chances are, dude, you're probably rigid in one or many of these different areas. So let's go with number one. So the first one is you hold on to failure too long. This is big. So many things, man. Failure can make you rigid. It can make you paranoid. It can make you me focused. And so in the case of my salesperson, one thing, as I was listening to him talk, and I said, dude, you've become very me focused. And so you're trying to change your sales. You're trying to change your outcome when you're not determining your customers' needs, what brought them in. And so if you connect more with the customers instead of focusing so hard to correct your sales, then as you connect, you will correct. It's just a natural byproduct on that. But you're not going to change your circumstances because if you're so me focused. The failure part of it, man, we hold on too long to failure, and we're, as humans, man, we're wired. The negative emotion is so much stronger than the positive emotion, like 7 times as strong. So we tend to hold on to things way 7 times as much. We tend to remember the bad experiences or the bad circumstances, and we don't think very hard or don't reminisce very long on the good ones. That's why I always say, like, if you're in sales, man, you should go back and look at pictures to remind yourself of customers that you've sold, of properties that you've sold, of whatever. Look back on those kind of different things, even in your life, man. Go back to look at vacations and look back on positive experiences, so that way you can kind of start retraining your mind. Because a lot of times, man, we hold on to the failures too long, man. And so one thing that you have to understand is failure is a major component of sales. It's a major component of life, man. Failure is think of failure like the flour, man, to your cookie. Dude, you ain't making no cookie without flour, right? And failure is what makes that thing rise. And so the failure is a key component, man. You've got to have those kind of different things, because if you're not failing, dude, you're not growing. You're not opening yourself up to further opportunities. So Williams suggests this. So when you have that failure, you've got to be reminded of 3 things. Number 1 is failure is an opportunity to learn and grow. We know this. We've heard this a million times, but sometimes, dude, you just have to be reminded it's an opportunity for me to learn. It's an opportunity for me to grow. What is the lesson I can learn from these different things? It ain't no sense in getting all pissed off because things didn't go your way, man. Where can I learn from this? What's the opportunity in this? And then you move on from there. The second thing, man, that you got to be reminded also, man, when you fail, you cannot equate risk with failure. You've got to have the risk. And so that's why I say the risk and the reward. No risk, no reward, man. And that is so true. It's a cliche, but it's so true. See, what you got to do is, what you've got to be reminded of is this. While risk, it exposes you to failure, man, risk also turns you to opportunity as well. On the other side, everything you want in life is on the other side of fear. It's on the other side of failure too. And dude, you've got to go through those things. You got to overcome your fear to take the risk. But also, when you take that risk, you will fail. But also, you will learn, and you will find other opportunities, and you will find rewards. But they're all kind of linked together. You got to go through the failure, man. And when you fail, this is just another part of the puzzle, another dot that I can put up. And one day, man, they're all going to connect as well. And the third component, man, that you have to remind yourself when you fail is, dude, that you are going to survive. You're going to get through this. Failure is never final, man. It's never fatal. It's just a part of the process. Remember this, there's a difference between failing and failure. Failing is part of the process. Failure is a state of mind. And so you're failing right now. You may be like on a 0-11 streak, but you're just failing right now. That's all. And so it's part of the opportunity to learn and grow. You're not holding on to it. I got to take the risk. Risk does not mean failure. Risk also means that there's going to be reward in that also. So you've got to be reminded of those things. And then you got to tell yourself, bro, I'm going to survive, man. I'm going to get through this. Second thing, man, that makes you rigid. That's a check back list for you to being rigid. Is there is no secret sauce. You hold on. There is no foolproof formula, as Williams writes. There ain't no formula, dude. There's no foolproof formula. Many times we think that when we get a little bit of success, we think that we have the formula. And actually we think we have the recipe. And success is not a recipe. It is a formula. But a formula is always changed. Many times we reach some sort of success and we think that we treat it like as if we have the original Coca-Cola recipe. So we know all the ingredients, and every single time, man, it's going to come out with that specific bottle, and I'm going to make billions of dollars off this bottle. Dude, it's not a recipe, man. Success is a formula, and the formula is always changing. Because your circumstances are changing, your experiences are changing, your mindset is changing. The formula is always changing. Remind yourself of this. There is no secret sauce. I don't have the sauce. I don't have the sauce. Everybody that you follow on social media, that's what you're trying to find out, dude. What's their secret sauce? How do they do it? What's their formula? My formula for success is not going to be the same as your formula. This guy's formula for success, you can buy his online platform and all that kind of different crap if that's what you want. But also you can get tidbits of what that formula is and then put it into your life and then adopt it from there, and then modify it from there. Remember this, the formula always has to be modified. I've got to go back. And so sometimes when you're too rigid, it's because you're holding on to the same formula. You had a winning formula at one time. What was one time working in sales, now it ain't working no more. It's because you're trying to look at it as a recipe, bro, when instead it's a formula. So go back when you find yourself kind of locked up, man, what's the formula? What's the formula I'm using, and what does it need to what needs to be changed? I've had this scenario happen so many times where salespeople, they check back with themselves and they say, man, I used to be able to do this, and I would say this and this, and now it's not working. Yeah, dude, change your formula. Change your formula. You ain't got the sauce no more. So now you got to change the formula and get some more sauce. But there is no secret sauce. And there is no one-time formula also. Third thing, man, that's making you rigid is you've gotten complacent after sustained success. You've gotten complacent after sustained success. And dude, this can be a blessing or a curse. Sustained success can be a blessing. Oh my God, back-to-back months, back-to-back months. That's a blessing, but it's also a curse, because it becomes a curse because you become complacent. You think that, again, that you have the winning formula. You think that you cannot fail anymore. And that's not the case at all. You've got to find the balance. And this is many times when you start getting successful, you stop adding to your bucket. And I tell salespeople this, dude, you got an incredibly hot hand going. You got a great month going. Now, the time when you're doing good is when you need to be pessimistic. Meaning that you know there's going to be a cold shoe coming. You know there's this thing is going to run out. So what new business are you putting into the bucket? What new leads are you placing into the bucket? Because dude, you got to do that. So, and then when you're doing bad, you've got to be optimistic that things will turn. I just got to keep adding to it. It's always the bucket, dude. It's always what you add into it also. But do not get complacent. When you're becoming successful, this is the time, man, when you actually need to get a little bit paranoid, a positive paranoia, in the sense that you're looking and you're saying, okay, I've got to change this up a little bit. I've got to modify the formula. It's working. You hear that, right? You hear people that say, well, if don't break it, or don't fix it if it ain't broke. Yeah, sometimes you need to break yourself. Sometimes you need to, like Vaynerchuk says, you gotta put yourself out of business. And dude, you got to go back to the formula, man. You got to realize that I got to modify this formula. I've got to realize failures, coming upon me also. Because as Williams writes, when you have sustained success, don't believe your own headline. Don't. When you're doing bad, you're not as good as they say you are, and you're not as bad as you think you are, right? And so you don't read your own headlines, man. I don't care how well you're doing. Don't read them. It don't matter. It don't matter at all. So because there's more, and things are going to turn for you also. And that's the second component on that sustained success. Realize that your luck's going to run out. Your luck's going to run out. I hate to break it to you, but your luck is going to run out. Luck can lead you to success, but it can also, your luck can turn you in, or the lack of the luck can also turn you into failure, because you think that you're holding on to things too long. You're thinking that it wasn't supposed to end, and it will. But luck is a major part, man, of success. And so you hear all these cliches about there's no such thing as luck. Yeah, there is. And so you've got to understand, man, there's going to be a cold day, and your luck's going to run out. I've in my 2 decades of selling, I've never had a month where I had sustained luck the entire 30-day month. Never happened. Never. You're always going to have a cold week, and sometimes you're going to have a cold 2 weeks. And you have to remind yourself that, well, the luck rhythm, whatever, I was flooded with luck at one time, and now you got to prime the pump again. There are times where you're going to prime the pump, and eventually, and we don't know when that is, when you're going to prime that pump and all of a sudden everything's going to overflow, and dude, you're going to ride in the river of luck. And then there's going to be other times where that river dries up. And this is where we think, well, I got to change jobs. This is where we think, oh, I'm just a POS in life. No, bro, it's just your luck ran out. So now what you got to do, and this is why I say, dude, you got to put things in the bucket. Because if you put things in the bucket, your bucket is what's priming that pump. So you'll have longer, more consistent success and luck if you're putting things in there to be able to work off of. But if you've got nothing else in there and all you're doing is you're withdrawing, dude, you're going to end up with a dry account. And you got to remember that. Fourth thing that's making you rigid in life, the fourth thing that's making you rigid in sales is you don't think that you're going to survive personal problems. Taffy Williams says personal financial problems. I say personal problems, period. I've seen, and I'm living proof of it, that I have had a lack of professional success because my personal life was crumbling. And so you have to, this is where some of that agility comes into play, where you have to figure out, what am I good at? One reason why I was able to hold on for a longer period of time professionally, even though my personal life was holding on, or was crumbling, was because I was good at what I did. And so I knew when I came to work, I could make my situation different. I could actually create more money. I could create more success. I could help other people become more successful. I could help other customers. So I was making a difference there. So you've got to be reminded of that. So when the problem that I faced on the personal side of it is I never dealt with the personal side. I was a runner, like I've said before. I always ran from my situations, and bottoming out caused me to have to turn inward and turn at the situation and start dealing with those things. As bitter and distasteful as they were, I had to end up taking on that mountain. So when you're going through a personal crisis, understand this, dude, you're going to survive. But the personal issues can make you very rigid. And so hopefully I can explain this. When you're going through a personal crisis, don't stop. Don't wait for things to change for you. You make the change. And sometimes, man, it's a little bit at a time. Sometimes it's turning and pivoting just a little bit to confront those things. But a major mistake that I've made is when the personal problems got so large is I stopped doing things that were making me successful professionally. And when you do that, then you miss out on opportunities. When you do that, you become very rigid. When you do that, you become very paranoid. You think everybody's out to get you. You think the man sitting beside you is out to take your job. You're thinking all customers are idiots. So you get into that paranoia stage, and you've got so many failures going on. You're failing in your personal life that it ends up bleeding onto your personal life, into your professional life as well. So you've got to be reminded and that you're going to get through this. You're going to survive, and then you're going to thrive. Set your mind on the thriving part. You're going to survive, and you're going to get through it. But don't park, man. Don't wait for situations or things to change. The fifth thing, man, that's making you rigid. The fifth thing that's making you rigid is you've become lethargic in your competition. You think you ain't got no competition. And this is where Tillman Fertitta, billionaire Tillman Fertitta, says that there's a paddle coming for your ass. And he said, every day, man, I fight to make sure that paddle don't come for my ass. And so many times we become lethargic because we have sustained success. We don't think there's any competition. And we think that we're doing so well and we're so knowledgeable and we have so much experience that no one can touch us. Dude, I thought that. I thought I was untouchable at work. And then when I got demoted, I realized real quick how the store could move on without me. And so you've got to be that positive paranoia. That positive paranoia is whatever I'm not doing right now, whatever I decide to not do. I don't want to catch this customer. I don't want to work these leads. Well, if you don't, someone will. And so the times that this is how you get behind is because you start becoming selective on what you do and don't do. Man, whatever you decide to not do is the thing that's going to get you lapped in life. If it's something that's impactful and important, then by all means, bro, you got to do it. But thinking for 1 minute that you don't have that competition, that no one's going to beat your price, that no one's going to beat your level of service, dude, don't think that for 1 minute. Don't think that for 1 minute. So don't carry yourself in that way where you think that I've got no competition. You do. And so you've got to, even if you don't immediately know what it is, what are you going to one up yourself from what you've been doing? This is where you got to change the formula. This is where you've got to take the risk. This is where you got to not equate risk with failure, that it's a part of opportunity to learn and grow. It's a part of understanding that I'm going to survive. It's a part of finding new opportunities also. So enough about that, man. But you know, you've got to realize, dude, there's competition. So you've got to try to put yourself out of business every single day. Sixth thing, man, that makes you rigid. So we can wrap this thing up. Sixth thing is indecisiveness. And indecisiveness comes not making a damn decision, man. And that comes from success and failure. When you're successful, this is where you want to protect the house, right? This is where you want to protect your winnings. Dude, you got to incur a few losses to incur incremental wins as well. But we get indecisive with the failure part of it also. Because this is, even like with personal problems, you become indecisive. Dude, make a decision. Make a decision and do. Your decision right now, if you're not really sure what to do, by all means just do. Remember ACA, action cures all. Take the action, do it, and then adjust along the way. And the seventh thing, man, that's keeping you rigid is refusing to get stuck in the past. The thing that's making you rigid is, dude, you get stuck. It's like you jump and get stuck in midair, man. And so don't get stuck in the past. And so it's the old cliche saying of stop dancing with the same person that you came to the dance with, or whatever the hell that saying is. Don't dance with the partner who brung you, or something like that. So we tend to dance with the same partners in our professional lives, man. And our partners is our old way of thinking, our old ways of doing things. This is the way we've always done it, and we don't want to expose ourselves to any additional risk. We want all the reward, but we want no risk, but you're not going to get it. So many times, man, when you have some success and then you lose success, you tend to wait for the come around. We tend to look at success as if it's a merry-go-round. And so we lost our seat on that merry-go-round. So we sit there waiting for that merry-go-round to come back around, and we keep waiting for the seat, and we keep waiting for the seat, and we keep waiting for the seat. And it never comes around. It's because success is not a merry-go-round, bro. It's more of a track, like a train track. And so that opportunity, that train of opportunity left. And many times, dude, we look at that train and we say, okay, well, I'm going to start walking down that track. And so we start walking down that track, chasing that train. But what we got to realize is there's another opportunity train coming. But here's the thing, man, is yes, opportunity does come again. But what we fail to miss out on, this is where we get too rigid in our thinking. We fail to realize that there's another track. And so, you know when you look down those train tracks and they have those little pivots, I don't know what the hell they're called, but it's where the guy goes out there. I'm sure they do it by computers now, but they pull this lever and the track shifts ever so slightly. So now there's two tracks. But so we hear the train coming, and that's the train of opportunity. And we hear it and we look back and we can see the light coming, and we're way down the track and we're sitting there and we're waiting for that success train to come by so we can jump on board. Yet that train takes that pivot point, that train hits that other track and goes the other way. It's because, see, we were too rigid in our thinking. We were too rigid thinking that this is the one track I got to be on. No, see, it was a different formula. The track shifted, and ever so slightly. It wasn't that much, but now it's that train's going in a whole different direction. This is why, dude, you have to check back against these 7 things to say, okay, where am I being rigid? In sales and in life, bro, where am I being rigid? Is so rigid in thought that I'm so proud of what I think I know that I'm missing out on what I don't know. What is it I'm missing here? And dude, one thing I like about this list, and I'll print them in the notes as well. One thing I like about this list is it's so easy to just check back and say, okay, where is it that, let's go back real quick. Where is it that I'm holding on to failure too long? Am I holding on to failure too long? Number 2 is, do I think that I have a foolproof formula? Do I think I have the secret sauce? No, you don't have the secret sauce. You never will. Number 3 is am I complacent because of sustained success? Number 4 is, am I thinking that is the personal issues in my life, I can't get through these different things, and so do I think that I'm not going to survive? You will survive. You will. Number 5 is am I lethargic about the competition? Do I think I have no competition? You do. There's a paddle coming for your ass. Number 6 is indecisiveness. Bro, just get up and do. And number 7 is refusing to get stuck in the past. You keep doing. You keep making it happen. Don't wait for the come around. Don't walk down the one track. Realize that the track has shifted and you must shift along with it. Do not. Stay flexible. Do not get rigid, man, in life. Stay flexible. Get out of the, rejection recidivism. There's your word for the day. Rejection recidivism. Do not relapse rigidity recidivism. Do not relapse into the rigidity. It's a constant push. But check back against this list. Make sure you're not getting stuck and keep on rocking. Stay amazing. Stay in the sales life.